Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're gonna introduce the chapter 5, Politics and Power, for the course Digital Responsibility and Interaction. As you can see from the PowerPoint, here's the outline of the presentation. First, I'm gonna introduce a general view of digital democracy, which includes 6 parts. After that, I'm gonna talk about the main application of e-participation in the policy process. After that, I will introduce the differences between bureaucracy and infocracy. And for the last, I would like to introduce the different categories of privacy defense. And after my part, my partner Ru will introduce a case study which related to the topic. First, let's move on to the first part, views of digital democracy. There are two different democracies under the reinforcement of institution politics, which are legalist democracy and competitive democracy. Legalist democracy, a so-called procedural view of democracy with the aim of decision-making. This view regards the Constitution and other laws and rules as the foundation of democracy. The three basic principles are separation of power, a system of check and balances between the government, the public administration and the judiciary, and the representation, of course. In this view, the lack of information gathered by the state is currently the most important problem to be solved with the aid of ICT. The second one is called competitive democracy. It is mainly supported in countries with a two-party or presidential system. According to this view, parties and leaders compete for the support of the electorate. This view of democracy emphasizes representation and efficient decision-making by leaders. The Internet and ICT are first and foremost used for information campaign and election campaign. The other four views of democracy have a completely different strategic orientation. Supporters of this view fight for socialization of politics. The most radical view concerning existing political practice is plebiscitary democracy. According to this view, political decisions have to be made through referenda. This implies a preference for direct democracy instead of representation. Another alternative view is pluralist democracy, sometimes also called deliberative democracy. In this view, opinion formation within and between social organizations is emphasized. Democracy is not the will of majority, but that of constantly changing coalition of minorities. Its most important value is pluralism in social and political discussion and in the media. It is a combination of direct and representative democracy. The next we'll discuss here is participatory democracy. Its supporters promote a socialization of politics, encouraging active citizenship. The emphasis lies on the broadest possible opinion formation about political affairs and on a particular combination of direct and representative democracy. Its most important instruments are public debates, public education, and citizen participation in general. The last one is called libertarian view. It is close to the pluralist in several respects, as an opportunity for community. Telepolling and teleconversation are proclaimed. Specific to libertarianism is the emphasis on autonomous politics by citizens in their own association, using the horizontal communication capability of the Internet. Let's start the second part, e-participation. As you can see from the slide, there are 5 factors in it. The first one is agenda setting. Government sometimes not only inform citizens about their policy on government website, but also invite citizens to reply or to have an input with their own idea, suggestion, or complaints. The second one is policy preparation. During the year of Internet hype, many Western governments launched official online consultation of citizens of discuss government plans that were already prepared. The intention was to engage more citizens in the process of making plans. The third one is called decision making. Potentially, Computer networks offer new channels for e-voting in election and in referenda or official opinion polls. It offers new opportunities for people who live far from a polling station, have lack of time, or have disability. The fourth one is called policy execution. Governments use digital media intensively to control for criminal act and the offense of rules and regulations. And the last one is policy evaluation. Some governments, mainly on local level, have installed online quality panel or individual feedback system in their online public service supply. This enables citizens to rate the level of service prevention and provide feedbacks. Well, let's move on to the third part, from bureaucracy to infocracy. Actually, what are the differences between these two sectors? Let's talk about bureaucracy first. There are three main factors of bureaucracy. The first one is hierarchy of authority. The second one is centralization of decision making. And the last one is formalization of rules, specialization of tasks, and standardization of actions. On the other hand, for the infocracy, there are only three main characteristics. The first one is built into the software. The second one is centralization with a decentralizing framework. And the last one is infocracy is business-like central control despite flattening of organizations. Let's move on to the last part, categories of privacy defense. Due to the time limited, here I just introduced the most important one, the privacy design. The first principle is to separate goals of new application and registrations. Many have several goals combined. For example, most smart energy matter in the home are designed in such a way that both consumer and electricity company are able to continually register the use of energy. The goal of the consumer might to have save on energy, and the goal of company might be so-called grid control. The second principle is to store locally. Central storage is always most risky for privacy. Moreover, central databases are very vulnerable because hackers usually have more interest in them than the local storage. And thirdly, one of the most important principles of data protection is to keep the data as anonymous as possible. Not all information has to be registered under a name. Identification is not required with a large number of applications. And the next principle is that people should own their data as much as possible. People should always have access to their own data stored in a particular place, to be able to correct mistakes and to see whether they are exchanged with another database. And the final privacy design principle to be mentioned here is to install the goals of registration in the hardware and not in the software. A device that simply is not able to register particular personal information is always the best option for privacy protection.
Now I'm going to talk about the case study part. My topic is the Internet and democracy. New information and communication technologies has transformed lives on almost all fronts of human activity. They have reshaped societies and even altered the nature of human interactions. Therefore, it comes no surprise that the advent of modern communication technologies also affected the realms of politics and governance. In less than a generation, the Internet has altered the daily lives of individuals in ways few would have considered in its nascent stage. It is also where Americans increasingly looking for new news and information. According to the Pew Research Center for the People and the Press, last year the Internet surpassed newspapers as a source of national and international news, nearly doubling from the years before. Barack Obama channeled the power of the Internet to reach millions during his presidential campaign, and his administration has launched innovation methods to use the Internet to governance. The Internet has enhanced democracy by widening the public shape and further equalizing political power. It is most visibly during the Iranian presidential election in June of the year 2013. It has democratized fundraising, reducing dependency on large donors and increasing the ability of the more diverse group of politicals to amount serious races. It has given voice to more journalists, including citizen journalists, to report and comment on news without being limited by print space and line counts. The future of the Internet and its long-term impact on democracy remains unclear. It's at once a future of promise and a peril. As a medium source, which much of our information is received, public opinion is formed, and the citizens interact with the states. Few issues are more important to the health of our democracy.